Welcome back. Well, we are in for a big gap up, 123 points now on the SGX Nifty. That would mean perhaps the Bank Nifty opens 250, 300 higher. Who knows? Today's weekly options expiry as well. Manoj Muralidharan of Religare Securities is with us. Manoj, good morning. Do you have a strategy on Bank Nifty on the expiry day, and what about individual stocks?
Good morning, Anuj. Anuj, we work on the ratios between the Nifty and Bank Nifty, and obviously that is helped because I guess this contract of October, if you see the amount of rollovers and the way the Bank Nifty and Nifty help in tandem to get into a trend, that helps. So 2.43, that is simply divide the Bank Nifty by Nifty. The ratio of 2.43 was supposed to be a resistance, and I guess the Bank Nifty underperformed, if you see, couple of days last week. But then today, after this gap up, we are expecting that 2.43 to be surpassed, and the next resistance comes at 2.46, simply saying that the next resistance we might see on the Bank Nifty somewhere close to 26,040 and 26,300. Now 25th October, that is your monthly expiry trade, or the expiry date. We would recommend buying a 26,500 call option. Yesterday's closing was, I guess, around 50 odd rupees, but then after the gap up, let's say you might get it close to 80 rupees. Still, it becomes a good buy. The target on that call option goes to almost 140. Now, for the Nifty also, we believe that the resistance or the weighted average of this shorts, which came from, let's say, August to September and then rolled from September to October, happens at 10760. So we have another 60-80 more points after the gap up also. So 10,760 to 780 is where we might feel the pressure from the VWAP of the shorts, which are still prevailing. For the Bank Nifty, it might be 26,300.
Okay. Just wanted to draw your attention. Adani stocks also could have a very big, opening. Although it was known that Adani and Total are joining forces for several things, primarily for LNG terminals, for gas. The announcement has come. There's a phase-wise plan to roll out 1,500 fuel stations. And there are other plans over the next 10 years. So we've already seen some bit of a rally in these stocks, but we'll come back and analyze this with Mr. Tulsian as well. Manoj, any other stocks you want to talk to us about?
Yes, couple of them. Lata, we like CET. We recommend buying a call option, or you can get into futures as well. We have a good 6 more days to trading. So 11:30 to 11:40, even after the gap up, we recommend buying that. Keep a stop loss of 11:10, and the target or the weighted average price of distribution might be closer to 1190. So somewhere close to 1,200 as a target. And because we are optimist on the Bank Nifty, and the four boys, Axis, SBI, HDFC and ICICI, they contribute to around 86% of your Bank Nifty itself. So I won't be wrong to say that 1/4 of your Bank Nifty would be contributed from an ICICI. For a target of 334, the stop loss should be 308. Let's say you initiated between 320 or 321 once you get a gap up opening on that.
All right, Manoj, thanks a lot for joining us and giving us all of your stock ideas. The pre-opening session is going to start. I think it's just about kicked in right now. The first stake is in the green on expected lines, so up almost about 0.5% on the index. We'll wait for these rates to settle, but suffice to say a couple of stocks in focus could be Infosys and Hero MotoCorp. Infosys is under a bit of pressure, down almost about 2% right now. Remember, the stock has rallied a whole lot. It's one of the strongest stocks. Maybe some money being taken off the table there. Hero MotoCorp at the moment is absolutely flat. Let's see how that one stabilizes.
Currency is opened decently well. I mean, 73.41 where it's opened versus 73.46. So let's see. Yesterday was quite an interesting day. We closed at the highest point on the rupee, and some more gains on that one as well.
Yeah, I mean, not to be taken lightly, that was a big problem, destabilizing the market. Yeah. While weaker currencies are helpful, sudden weakness is always destabilizing. So this, at the moment, at least is indicating that the instability is behind us. It's starting with a 0.7% gain, the Sensex and the Nifty, but it's very, very volatile. So let's not jump into any conclusions just yet. Perhaps start only with Infosys and, the Nifty and the Sensex were showing opposite trends for a bit. So it's difficult to rely on any numbers at the moment. Infosys Okay, Infosys is
J&K
starting
Bank
a little lower. HDFC Bank is starting 7%. Why should it be that low?
Even J&K Bank is actually up almost about 8% odd. You were discussing how slippages have fallen a whole lot. So that's positive. South Indian Bank continues to move up. And Future Retail, one of the stocks that Anuj was focusing on, that one's up about 5%. Mr. Tulsian, I wanted your thoughts on something like a Mahindra CIE. I mean, the numbers have been good this time. Consolidated numbers have grown substantially. Is that a stock that you've liked?
Yes, Sonia, again, very good numbers. And in fact, if you really see the situation, in fact, consolidated numbers we review at the end of, and this is their third quarter numbers. And if you see for all three on a standalone basis, it has exactly doubled. In fact, maybe Q1, Q2, Q3 for the current year standalone, you can take them as exactly identical at par, which shows the visibility of the order flow from the majors. And in fact, the standalone share is hardly less than 20-25% of their total operation. So extremely good numbers, and we are keeping extremely positive view on the stock.
Okay, well, let's just see if there's some more stability in the markets at this point in time. iShares starting higher. Tata Steel is, where's Hero Moto? I'm not seeing that. Okay, it's a very tepid start for Hero Moto. It's just about 0.1 up. And Infosys as well, just about 0.6 up. It's not a gung-ho opening in the markets either. I mean, I'm wondering if I'm even looking at the right screen. One would have expected something more in terms of a celebration, but at the moment it's an extremely quiet start as far as the Nifty is concerned. The Sensex is still in the green.
The SGX Nifty has moved to 10,700. So let's see. For now, some of these stocks in the broader market, South Indian Bank is up another 7%. So of course that would be a stock to track. Future Retail is up another 5%. Trent was a stock that we were watching out for because of the similar moves on that one. Adani Green, by the way, is up about almost 5%. So let's say Infosys, in fact, is okay. There's a bit of a freak rate in HDFC Bank.
That is why it's
that is
not
the reason.
rising.
8% lower on HDFC Bank. That should not happen. So obviously, that's as soon as that settles, I think Sensex is now beginning to indicate, beginning to align with the SGX Nifty. So Sensex is
don't look at the Nifty for the moment. It's not reflecting perhaps the reality. Also, most of the mid-cap stocks are opening in the green. I mean, I was looking at banks. I was looking at mid-cap index. There's a burst of green. Mahindra, CIE, Graphite India, Orient Cement, Bank of Baroda, DLF, REL Infra, Canada Bank, Jindal Saw, all of them rising over 2%. So it looks like even the mid-caps will have a decent. Now that I think the Nifty is correcting, we are having 1/3% higher, 36 points up. But HDFC Bank is still posting some kind of a niggling. It must be a freak trade. We didn't hear any news.
Actually, there is a theme playing out in the broader markets in the smaller banks. So after Federal Bank reported very strong loan growth yesterday and, no major move in slippages, Federal Bank continues to be in the green. J&K Bank slippages have fallen, so that one is up almost 8%. Mr. Tulsian, I know we've discussed this in the past, but after the numbers that came in from Federal, from J&K Bank, anything that you would trade now, I mean, for the slightly shorter term?
See, Sonia, yesterday after seeing the Federal Bank number, I have said that one should keep an eye on the DCB banks. The results are due today. And in fact, yesterday after seeing this, after market hours, J&K Bank has really performed quite well. And if you see their corporate banking segments, in fact, that is showing a good improvement. And yesterday, in fact, all the three corporate lenders, or maybe all four corporate lenders, ICICI, SBI, Axis and Federal, they were all up. In fact, they were topping the Bank Nifty chart, in the contribution plate. So this is indication that yes, things are seen to be quite positive, but overall, in fact, apart from the corporate lenders, we have been in fact keeping the positive bias on the other banks also, like HDFC, IndusInd Bank and Kotak, which are again the three heavyweights. Yes Bank seem to be probably taking a consolidation and some breather at around 240, 250 levels when waiting for the next events to be seen. But yes, on the corporate lending fronts and taking the cue from Federal Bank and J&K numbers, we will be keeping an eye on DCB banks, which are due today. And again, the Q1 numbers, mind it, DCB had posted very good numbers. So any kind of positive results seen coming in from the bank that can in fact show, and this is some mild high beta stocks as well. So won't be surprised to see it moving up further by about 6 to 8% or 8 to 10% if we see it's a similar kind of results which we have seen from Federal and J&K.
Okay. The other stock, of course, that you could keep your eye on is Hero Moto. We just heard Mr. Tulsian saying that he would think the festival sales will pick up. there would be some people who would complain that it was largely in line with expectations and no sparkling numbers in the results itself. Let's listen to what the management said at the conference call. Back in the jiffy.
We do see while there's a bit of softening on demand side, it's more flattish than growth at this stage, but we do expect things to turn around and move forward. And we are expecting, like we've said earlier, still hopeful for an 8 to 10% growth in the festive season. This whole insurance thing obviously has created a bit of dampness. Like I said, the first few days have been flattish, and I think most of it is owed to the kind of, setback or some sort of shock, that preliminary shock that increased insurance did lead to. What I also mentioned that we'll continue to grow at a steady 8 to, still expect that 8 to 10% growth in the festive season. So we do not see a flattish festive season. We do see an improved, festive season from here on.
The macro fundamentals of Indian economy in general and two-wheelers or auto sector in particular still remain intact. With Andhra, the capacity doesn't go up to 11 plus. It actually goes to 10 plus by end of next year. Although both these plants, which is Andhra and Gujarat, if need be, can be scaled up to actually move to 11. So therefore, that's the plan, and we feel that the plan is a very balanced plan in terms of the capacity expansion, and we don't see any need to push out the capex.
Okay, that's Hero Moto. The markets now are giving you an indication of all the indices, and the Nifty Bank is opening 1% higher. Nifty is opening 100 points higher, 10,680, and the mid-caps are showing a 1.2% gain. So big day for the equity markets, big day for gold as well. Our golden girl is here, Manisha Gupta, to tell us what's happening in commodities.
Thank you so much for that, Lata. Well, yes, at 11-week highs is how we are holding gold prices. It was a bit of a struggle to get it above $1,200 per ounce, but since it has done that, we seem to be trading within that range of $1,215 to $1,230 on the higher side. Looking slightly bullish on charts, there is speculative buying as well, which has come back in. What you also are seeing is some kind of a stability now returning in case of the crude oil prices. 80 to 83 is what we have been doing for last couple of sessions now. The US weekly inventory data today would be of importance, where the markets have seen perhaps a decline in crude oil and gasoline inventories, so that could be supportive. On the other side, it also has to do with the Iran sanctions. Markets would continue to be volatile for next 1 month for sure. And then, of course, it is the conversation between Saudi Arabia and US that seems to be igniting some geopolitical tensions as well, and that is what you would need to keep an eye on. A quick word on the metal space. While the China PPI data yesterday wasn't so good, but it is the Asian equity markets which are doing slightly better. That has led to some marginal buying in the Shanghai markets for many of these metals as well.
All right, Manisha, thanks a lot for those commodity cues. 380 points higher is what we have on the Sensex. 100 points on the Nifty, and about 200 points higher on the mid-cap index. The mid-caps have done well. 17:1 on advanced Zealand, of course, will not happen, but should be a good start. Ashwini, what's the first trade here if we open here, and what's the 9-10 call?
See, first of all, results have been good in the US, not here. So that people should take on board that this global cues business is a bit tricky. The other thing is we will open into the 200-day moving average, which is not at all the place where people should buy, at least on the first touch. So, booking profits in about the first 15 minutes would be a good strategy. I think mid caps will continue to outperform. So try to look for, ideas in the off index type of stocks. For the moment, 914 call is Soba Developers, which can be bought with a stop at about 428, target of 416.
Okay, so that's a 914 call. For now, Infosys is the top Nifty gainer. It's up almost about 2%. As we've been telling you, most of the boxes have been tick marked in terms of their parameters, except the margin miss. So that's, I think, something that the street has liked, the positive commentary from the management as well. But Adani group stocks are in focus. Adani and Total. Total is that French energy giant. They've joined forces to become a major integrated downstream player. Anisha is with us to give us more details on that. Anisha, over to you.
Well, yes, Sonia, good morning. Now, this is something that we have been picking up from reports as well, but this is a bit different from what was reported earlier. And let me me tell you the differences. First up, it does not look like that Adani has sold any stake in their company. It looks like it's a joint venture, fresh joint venture that has been formed between Total as well as Adani, and this is for fuel retail as well as the LNG business. Now, do remember earlier reports suggested that Total might be looking at the city gas distribution business of Adani as well. Now, as per the initial reading of the press release, it does not look like the city gas distribution business comes in the ambit of this particular deal. However, what they're doing is expanding their presence when it comes to fuel retail. So they have a target of putting in around 1,500 fuel pumps across the Indian highways and infrastructure over the period of next 10 years. Total is also looking to integrate its services when it comes to the Dhamra port and the Gujarat port of the company, because remember, Adani has been quite bullish when it comes to the gas business of theirs, and they have been talking about how the volume tick as far as port business is concerned will come in from LNG and CNG business going forward, and looks like Total is going to invest in that and adding value into the Dhamra as well as Gujarat port of the company.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Tanisha. Mr. Tulsan, should we take this on board, any investor in the Adani Group stocks?
See, Lata, in fact, LNG space is seen to be an excellent space, but actually that is controlled by Petronet LNG. We have been seeing 85% of the India's LNG imported by the Petronet LNG. And if you see, Petronet LNG have their presence at Dahej and Kochi, and now they are putting up their third facility in Gandavaram in Andhra Pradesh. So that will be giving a competition to Dhamra. I'm not saying that I'm not positive on the Adani and Total JV, but that is not including the present business. In fact, it is totally new business, largely for LNG and fuel retail, what I have understood. And if you really see, both requires huge capex. And the advantage, in fact, we have been keeping extremely positive on the gas sector, whether it is Petronet LNG or IGL or MGL. And in fact, if you see for the Petronet, I'm just trying to give the comparison between the Petronet LNG and proposed investment to be made by Adani Total JV. So that will require huge capex. Petronet LNG is having cash of 2,500 crore low ruling at a lower discounting of maybe 13-14 time of P multiple, net of cash. So I'm quite gung-ho on the sector per se, and the foray of Adani Total JVs, because all the oil marketing companies, the global oil marketing companies want to have their presence here in the fuel retail also in the time to come. But honestly, looking to the capex requirement, huge capex requirement, I may not be too gung-ho on the Adani enterprise, and that too when the share is ruling at a very higher end. So merely on this announcement, one should not get too excited that yes, this is going to be a money spinner, because that will take a very long process with the competition seen largely from Petronet LNG, who are controlling 85%. In fact, they had a market share of 77% in FY17, which rose to 85% of the India's total LNG import. So that is going to be a tough competition from them. So keeping excited with the news, but not taking a buy call on the Adani enterprise on this news.
Okay, Mr. Tulsian, thanks a lot for joining us. Just 50 seconds to go. Ashwini, would you trade any of these banks that have been moving up post numbers, J&K Bank, Federal Bank, etc.?
I think Federal Bank has bottomed out, and along with that DCB, etc. I'm not too sure about J&K Bank, but the smaller banks could have a very good day. Given that market probably will open at a resistance, I think this should be one of the plays that you should look at.
Okay. Well, Sudarshan, anything else after the market opens?
Well, yes, apart from taking profits on your long positions, there are buying opportunities in Dabur and Jubilant Foods. Actually, the focus today should be on mid-caps.
Oh, fair enough. At the moment, they seem to be starting a little higher with their nose ahead of the big stocks. But let's wait and see if they can maintain that initiative. It's starting extremely healthy, as Anuj pointed out, 17 in the green for 1 in the red. But we'll know soon. 1% higher on the Sensex and the Nifty. So 10,700 is almost here. 112 up, 10,695, 698. Yes, almost getting there. 699, dithering over 10,700. But this is almost, yes, there it is, 10,700. We saw that tick. And the Sensex, meanwhile, has moved up 400 points almost. That's 35,550 that has been scaled. The mid-caps are still nose ahead, 1.3 up percentage points. And that's 210 up on the index. The Nifty Bank is up 1.2%. So actually, mid-cap and Nifty Bank are a shade better than Sensex and Nifty. But it's green all over. Infosys is the leader of the pack, up 3% in the first tick, 3.2 now. Eicher Motors, again, another 3%. Bajaj Finance, Adani Ports, Yes Bank, Vedanta, SBI, Axis, ICICI, Indices, just everything is in the green. And these are the guys who are up over 1.5 to 3%. No red stocks. Okay, you can say for the record, there is a couple of oil stocks, ONGC and BPCL, but that small change, they are down 20 pies or thereabouts. So it's really 50 on 50 in the green. A very bright start to the day. I just wanted to read Hero Motor. Okay, that's 0.5% higher. Results are not saying anything, but Infosys, the market's given it a very big cheer. I think it's that 2 billion order book.
Oh yes, strong order book, strong dollar revenue growth, constant currency growth, better than TCS. I think that's something that the street has liked. But the broader markets are really in festive cheer this morning. 220 points higher on the mid-cap index. Advanced decline ratio has more than 1,200 stocks on the advancing side. The stock that tops the charts is JNK Bank, 13.5% higher on that stock. But remember, it pales in comparison to the fall the stock has seen this year. I mean, it's still down 40% this year despite today's move. But the slippages are lower by 67% quarter on quarter. That's what the street has liked. Apart from that, you have South Indian Bank that's up another 4.5% today. Result reactions, Mahindra CIE is up almost about 3.5%. The Hathway Cable and Den Network stocks are moving. Remember, there's an expectation that the deal will be done with Reliance Industries today. So Hathway Cable is up almost about 3.5%. Some recovery in NBFCs is what you're seeing this morning. Edelweiss is up another 2.5%. In fact, this week, Edelweiss is up almost about 8%. So keep that on your radar. Adani Group stocks, Adani Enterprises, etc. are looking good, up almost about 1.5 to 2%. But the theme I think the traders are latching on to are the smaller banks. So JNK is now up 15%. South Indian Bank, not just that, you have, a couple of these smaller names as well. Federal Bank is up another 1.5%. Syndicate Bank is in the green. Union Bank is up 1%. That's a theme that's playing out. Otherwise, it's a really strong start, Anuj.
It's a strong start. The problem is what you do here. And even Infosys has started to pair some of its gains now. So let's see. But things looking quite good. ICICI, SBI, these are few stocks looking good. In the cash market, the stock that catches my eye right now is Avanti Feeds. I don't know if there's any kind of news flow here, but almost 3% gap up is what you're seeing on the Avanti Feed stock. So that's something perhaps you would want to keep on your radar. But Ashwani, your thoughts on market opening, and is there a trade here?
Well, when things are looking particularly good and you have a resistance, I am more inclined to sell, and that is what I will do. Take short position and see what happens. I don't think you will cross 200-day moving average in one attempt. So let's take short positions and see.
Short positions on the index, that's Nifty and Nifty Bank?
Yes, on both, because it's been heady and you are at a resistance. So let's see if we are able to get way past 10,700, 750. This would be a good risk reward time to sell into.
So your stop loss would be 750?
Yeah, thereabouts.
Okay.
And on the Nifty Bank, Ashwani, what would be the stop loss?
High of the day.
Okay. Well, Sudarshan, Infosys is really topping the charts now, up almost 3.5%. For both a trader and an investor, what would the call be now?
No, so investor can buy anything, but we are talking of traders. I don't think Infosys is a buying opportunity. I would not be surprised if this gain fizzles out by the end of the day. And for Nifty traders who have been long since yesterday, day before, last week, this is a very good time to take profits. Don't be greedy, take your profits.
With Trend, the stock that we spoke about is now surging, so up about almost 2%. And the entire retail space is doing quite well. Pull out Aditya Birla Fashions as well. That's also a stock. I mean, of course, the rally started yesterday with Future Retail. And then you saw the other stocks also joining in. Now you're seeing some of the moves play out.
For the moment, the morning first tick is the highest tick. I mean, we are only 3 minutes into market trading, but the gap up has gotten sold into a little bit.
Yeah, and
we are still high, but not as high as we
I think the other stock to watch is DHFL. We've been warning about this for 3 or 4 days now. Even on that day when there was a shareholding pattern change. I think the market is sensing something here. 2.5% lower is what you have on DHFL. So
there was a big fund that sold out. There was a mention in the exchange notices yesterday. So, I mean, that stock is still not sharing in the Bonomi, and neither is India Bulls Housing for that matter. That one is also down 2% on a day when otherwise, there are quite a few NBFCs that have done well. PNB Housing and PNB Gilts are also not sharing in the green. PNB Housing in particular is not. But there are a few that are doing well at this point. Magma, Gruha Finance, Edelweiss, Sundaram. Sundaram, of course, has not done badly at all. Shriram. These are Manappuram. All these are in the green. But the overall green in the stocks is not rubbing off entirely on the NBFC space. They are still nursing some grievances.
Another pocket that's looking good this morning is FMCG. So Dabur is up almost 3% right now. I mean, not just FMCG, the entire consumption basket. So we were speaking about Trent, etc. AB Fashion and Retail, Future Retail. Jubilant Foods is also picking up pace. Ashwini, after looking at the market opening now, 300 points plus on the Sensex. What would the big call be for the day?
Big call is get short. I see almost all, if not half the gains getting taken off. These sort of gap ups where there's nothing to do with us. These are silly places, and the risk reward is absolutely in terms of getting short. I think today's gains will get taken off more or less by end of day.
Okay, Mitesh, your Jubilant Food is working. Anything else?
Yeah, Lata, I think that apart, clearly we've also been advocating taking profits around these levels. Strong supplies coming, we are closer to 200 average, so makes sense. Having said that, on stock-specific basis, I think Sonia was talking about Dabur. I think that's giving a good reversal on the intraday charts. And on the hourly chart, there's some kind of a breakout. I think the stock can head towards 430 odd zone. So from a short-term perspective, that could be a good buy. Keep a stop just below 410.